Hey everybody, I'm Shane.
I'm Lex.
I always forget to do this. I gotta get
Do
my
you?
dip.
Well, I figure we'd make this more entertaining for everybody, so you and I should start drinking early.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Let's go.
All right, so yes, we were
good.
discussing, if those of you who were seeing the pre-show, I guess, I don't know.
The pre-show.
Yeah,
Loosely
PDQ Inventory was released yesterday. It has been in beta for a little over a month. Thanks to all the beta users for giving us your suggestions.
Feedback, yeah, appreciate it so much.
Even the negative stuff, yes, all that stuff we just send to Lex.
I read through it. After I finish crying, I pass all the...
He feeds off of it. He's kind of like the septic tank. He wants that waste.
Wow.
He yearns.
Ooh.
He yearns for it.
Ow, you know what, maybe I'm not going to let you drink earlier in the morning. Ooh, harsh.
Yeah, dude.
So we're going to go over what's new. We're going to change this train of thought here.
Let's do it.
So, guys, the best way to find out what's new is always to go up and check under Help.
Mm-hmm. Or you can go to Help, what we've done before, contents. Obviously, there's the update notes. And if those of you who use Deploy, which are most of you, this documentation is also going to change to look a little bit more like the Deploy. It didn't make it in time for this release. But anyway, yeah, you can go to Update Notes.
You made it a little more sexy, did we?
Kind of.
Yeah.
It used to be, we also have this, similar to PDQ Deploy, we have the Welcome to PDQ Inventory node up here at the top, which is a great jumping off point, for the video tutorials, our blog, etc. It used to be you had to click in the white space down here to get to it, but we've added that.
And then right here, oh, my arm doesn't go that high, right above us right there, there's what's new in this version.
Same, it'll open up the same help file. Yeah, so let's just take a quick peek. We'll cover some of these major points. The big feature for the enterprise customers, the deployment details. Once again,
be able to look at a specific machine and see what's been deployed.
Yeah, from within inventory.
Inventory, yeah.
This has been a really requested feature that we've had, so we threw it in there. We'll show you some limitations to that as well, just to make sure you understand how that works. Obviously, the new welcome page. There is new webcast announcements. If you want, you can turn that off. Otherwise, we'll show you that webcast announcements. Those of you who also use Deploy, we've modified the print preview to make it a little bit more like Deploy, so that you can customize how you print your reports. We did change the disk serial number. That was grabbing the serial number provided by the OS. Now we're actually just going into WMI and extracting that physical.
Going right off the disks.
Yes, because there was, we were noticing some discrepancies there. And thank you for the customers who
pointed that out for us. Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and jump into that. We'll do a few things here. So first of all, let's go straight to the deployment history. So if we were to go, let's take a stab here at Abraham. There's the deployments. Once again, this is an enterprise level feature, but now you can see all the different deployments that have gone out to Abraham. Now, notice we have a lot of the same deployments here. These are the same machines we have in our lab. It goes off of the deployment history in PDQ Deploy, and it's based off of the computer name. So if you have a new computer, so let's say that Abraham gets retired, we drop kick that one to the curb, but put a new computer called Abraham in inventory. If that deployment history still exists for the old Abraham, we're going off of the computer name, so that would still show up in here.
A little something to think about.
One of the reasons we do that, we have had a few questions in the past of, you guys use the computer name to basically, in database parlance, is your primary key. Why don't you use the computer or the Active Directory GUID or something like that? And the reason for that is we don't require Active Directory.
Yeah.
If we did, then yes, the GUID would be a great one, but we don't require it. That's why we go off of the computer name, because we do have a lot of customers that have a lot of computers that are not in their Active Directory. So anyway, so this is how you can grab this information. You can also build your collections and your reports to reference the deployments from within PDQ Inventory, which makes it really cool. If we were to say, go to our reports, new report, something like Firefox deployments. You'll see the deployment table.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have all these different
Options. Yeah.
So we could say like the package name. We want to show the package name, and then in the filters, you would just create a filter that says under deployment, maybe the package name contains Mozilla Firefox. Save it, run it.
There you go.
And then you'll see these are the computers that have had that deployment or any deployment of Mozilla Firefox. All right. So your collections, your reports, it's a fantastic little utility, once again, from within inventory. Could you do a lot of this stuff from within deploy? Yes.
Sure.
But here you've got the tie-in from the computer record in inventory to its corresponding record in deploy. So I think that's...
That beat that horse, yeah, to death.
You think so?
Well, I think it was actually perfect, man.
What are we, like 3 minutes into this thing, and you think
3 minutes and you're beating it to death? Yeah, I guess it is a little bit, but
notice in
preferences here.
thank you very much. The auto update alerts. You'll notice that there's the show webcast alerts. If you want to have that, if you want to get those alerts, when
You want to be nagged so you can see Shane and me on
we
Thursdays?
actually haven't implemented that yet. This is ready for it. When we implement that, we'll start publishing, the next webcast and information about that. You'll see that right up in here. Go ahead and zoom out there, JJ. You'll see that right up in this area of the window. We have there it is right there. Scroll out again. Get your damn hands off that.
There we go.
There we go. You'll see it there. Right now it's not live, so when that is, you'll pop that in. If you don't want to see that, just uncheck that. All right, and obviously,
No, I did follow that link this morning. It goes to a webcast of obviously you and me, an old one.
Yeah, well, it's not going to go to a future one.
Well, it could.
It's still in the works.
And we're working on that, right? Yeah, looking to the future. Yeah, okay.
And obviously, the other stuff here hasn't changed. If you do want to get alerted to new versions of the software, then you can click these boxes here as well. What else is new?
Let's talk about registry keys, Hive and Path. So now, let's say, we deployed Firefox. Let's go look at Abraham. If we go look under applications, we now have the Hive and Path of where we actually
What does
pull
that
information.
mean? So if you've all gone to the applications window before, it's one of the most visited in the computer window, the applications page, I should say. I'm going to just hide these two new ones right here real quick. So this is what you used to see. You used to see the uninstall key. Once again, this is if the uninstall is pro mode or higher. But we've had people ask us, now I've got a computer that's showing Dropbox. How do I know that Dropbox? Where are you getting that information from? Well, there's a number of ways, a number of areas in the registry that we look to populate the applications. So we finally said, let's just go ahead and offer this. By the way, we might hide these in a future version. If you want to, if we do that, then you'll just have to
come in here and grab those. Yeah.
Yeah, just move them over to your visible. But this way we can say, hey, 7-zip 1510 beta is installed. How do we know? Well, there's the Hive that it's coming from in the registry. Pardon me, make that little, I suck. So we're coming from HQ local machine, and there's the registry path right there.
Software.
So you could go to this computer's registry, dig it up, and say, yep, that is where we're grabbing it. So there's nothing under the sleeves.
No magic there.
All right. Mostly for troubleshooting purposes, but we wanted to finally solve that. Now, where this really comes into play is when you start seeing multiple instances of the same applications. Oh, look at, once again, Dropbox. Where are all these coming from? Well, then you'll see, you've got one in the user Hive for Trixie. And, you've got one for the user Hive for Clyde. So there you go.
It looks like we got a question, too.
All right, rock on.
Do both programs need to be running in order to view deployments from PDQ Inventory? Does it start the PDQ Deploy service in the background? Jason S.
I haven't tested to see if it starts the deploy service. The deploy service should be running.
Yeah.
But no, it does. They don't both have to be running. Well, obviously, inventory has to be running if you're looking at it. But if deploy is not running or opened, basically what it does is it just looks in the deploy database. So, like any other, the existing requirement, if you're going to use inventory in conjunction with deploy, they have to be
on the same machine. Yep.
So here we're just looking in the database. Now, trivia question. extra bonus points, whatever, where are those databases stored? How would you find that?
Well, the easiest way is to go to Preferences, look under Database,
Very good.
and then you can hit the Explorer.
You'll see the path there. So this is the path for the database in the inventory. You can show that in Windows Explorer. And if you go up one level and you see Deploy,
There's the Deploy
there's
database.
there's the Deploy database. So yeah, we access that database, and so the answer is no.
Don't
As
have
far
to
as
go
does
in.
it start it now, it will start the Deploy database if you attempt to do a deployment from within inventory. It will attempt to start the Deploy service. But I don't think just looking at it shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I haven't tested that.
That's a good question.
Do we have any other questions?
Okay.
All right.
Well, okay, so we
go
looked
back.
at the registry path, right?
Once again, mostly for troubleshooting. If you don't want that showing, just go ahead and hide that.
Hide those,
you
yeah.
know. Another way to hide that, by the way, anything in these grid type windows. Let's say I don't want to see these right now. I can just drag these up here.
Or you can, up in the left-hand corner right there, click on that guy.
Customize this grid, and also in View, you can go down to Edit Columns,
Yeah.
which is the same thing, and then just take those columns that you don't want, move them out. So, and then of course, if you want to move them back, you may do so. It's great for troubleshooting. This is something that this is actually something that I had requested because for me it was an annoyance, and I knew that customers were constantly asking, "How do you
Chasing
know?"
Java is one of the ones I love using that with.
Chasing Java.
Yeah, Java, installs, multiple Java
For
installs.
some reason, I thought that Kevin Smith movie, Chasing Amy. When you
What
said
I was
that.
thinking.
Did
Yeah.
you think that too?
Yeah, that sounded.
One of
Chasing
Kevin
Java?
Smith's first attempts. That was that was the name. Chasing Java didn't quite work, so they changed it to
Chasing Amy, yeah.
That's a good movie.
I enjoyed that one, yeah. One of the few I've seen, actually. So what was that? We got another question, JJ? Okay. Does PDQ Inventory have the ability to scan an asset to detect if a user is logged on before deploying applications? Inventory for that.
Okay, the technical answer is no, but you don't need that because
Yeah.
that's a native feature within Deploy.
Deploy, yeah.
So those of you notice, I'm going to change this real quick. This is View. To show in the collection window, I want to show the current user. If we have
Current
that.
username right there under the mouse.
So current username, in fact, I'll make this fixed so that it's always showing up there. So current username. Now, this is the current user as of the last inventory scan. So this can get out of date fairly quickly depending on, if iCal hasn't been scanned for a while, for example. I mean, for all we know, Trixie may not be logged on any longer.
Yeah.
So even to do what you were asking from within inventory, you would still be working off of kind of old data. What we want to do, I'm going to change this back and unmove that, uncheck that fixed.
Unmove that? I love that. It's unmoved now.
I suck. Okay.
It's early. No, I'm just waiting for you. Just mess up a
All
little
right,
bit.
we'll see you later,
Just
guys.
a little bit.
All right, so to answer your question, though, you can get what you want from within Deploy.
Deploy, yeah.
Let's say that, for example, BG Info. BG Info is a great example. BG Info, the way we've built this package, it displays information to the logged on user. So if you notice, there's the command to run BG Info, and in the conditions, notice we have the logged on state. That means, and the conditions are set per step. So every step you'd have this. Generally, it's usually set to always run. Basically, the logged on state, just whether someone's logged on or not, run this. But here we've changed it to say only run this step
If the user's logged on.
If a user is logged on. And then, for no extra charge, we also say run as logged on user as opposed to the default of deployment or the deploy user. So the conditions is what you're looking for. Your logged on state. If you don't want to run something, if a user is not logged on, then you just say logged on state only run if a user is logged on, and you're set. So right now no one's logged on to Abraham. There's only one step. Oh, I think no one's logged into Abraham. There's only one step in this package, and you've probably seen this before. If none of the conditions are in a package are met during a deployment, you'll get an error that states that. So we have one condition. It says only run if a user is logged on. It failed. You can see the more info if I scroll over here.
Conditions not met, basically.
Conditions are not met. So none of the conditions for any of the steps were met. Now, if there were multiple steps and only one of them had this condition set, then the other steps would have run and you wouldn't have gotten this error message. So
that's a little divergent from what we're doing, but there you go.
But
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question. It's a native feature and it checks at the time the step is executed,
Yep.
as opposed to going off of what could be old data in inventory. So keep that in mind. No, go ahead.
Yeah, that's another question. Yeah, JJ. Can you create a report that will compare two collections to show discrepancies between these collections so we can easily add or remove the static
Okay, so this is,
collections?
notice the ellipsis there. This was a question, and thank you, by the way, Rich. This question was submitted was submitted to us before the webcast. We love that because in some cases, we can prepare for it. And Rich, I hope you don't mind. We tried to reword that so it would fit on
the
your question.
screen.
Yeah, basically, what it came down to is Rich has a bunch of different collections, and one of the collections is a static collection, and then other collections are dynamic. And he wants to be able to see, basically he said, the top level collections need to have the same computers in there. How can I see if a computer's in this collection but not this one, and vice versa? So once again, it was. I hope we surmised your question properly. I've created a custom collection. Let's go ahead and look at this. So just to answer your question, I've got. And your example was very, very fitting just for your environment, based on departments and buildings and stuff. I've kind of changed it. We've got, let's say, computers that are approved to have imaging applications. This is a static collection, which brings us to another feature that was just introduced, and that is in static collections, notice we've got this new filter right here. And this will really help for those of you who use static collections and have a lot of computers. Before, you used to have to scroll down and find the computers that you wanted to add and then add them. Here, you can simply just start typing in and narrow that down based on computer name. So anyway, he's got, let's say in this case, we've got these computers that are approved to have imaging applications, all right? Static list. And then we've got an imaging collection, and this imaging collection basically just says, we grabbed three different
Imaging programs,
and I'm using variables here.
Basically looking for
GIMP, Inkscape, and
PaintNet.
Paint.net. So we're saying if any computer has any of these applications, show up in here. However, the computers that have these imaging applications should be the same computers that are approved, right? So I've got a sub-collection here under the approved that says approved imaging, but there's none installed. So these are the computers that are in here, but they don't have any of these applications. So what were the filters I used? Simple. Used the computer table and the collection, and I just said the collection is not a member of imaging. In other words, it doesn't have any imaging, but it is a member of approved. So these are the two computers that are approved to have imaging but don't have any imaging software. And then the unapproved is just the same filters, just reversed. These are computers that do have imaging software installed but are not in the custom or the static collection for approved. And we can see those computers. So these 5 computers have imaging software, they're not approved. And then basically, one of the collections that we're calling is this imaging, which has some I just copied these from the collection library.
Yeah.
So that's how you can do that. Basically, we think that your question was to do that, showing computers that should be in 2 collections, which ones aren't in either one.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, go ahead. We have another question.
Are there any plans to add a database backup mechanism to either PDQ Deploy Inventory or Deploy? That's a great question.
Hi, Brandon. Yes. In fact, you have a hardcore full contact advocate here at Admin Arsenal. Jason, who is our Jason Hanks, is our one of our main support guys. And
Yeah.
he's been wanting this feature for a long time. He's like, please do this. Yes, the answer is that is in the roadmap. We are planning on offering that. Now, when you do upgrade any of our products, when you go from, so if you're at inventory 6 and you're getting ready to upgrade to 7, we do back up your database at that time. That's so that if there's a problem and you need to roll back, you can do that.
Put
now,
the database back, yeah.
Where is that stored? Once again, let's go back to our preferences. and we're going to go to database. We're going to open up the database in Explorer, and you'll see once again, there's our database.db, that is our current database. But if you look at backups, you'll see backups if you've ever upgraded, in this case, inventory. And these are the different versions that you've upgraded from. So you can see these old versions of the database. So we do have that at upgrade time. What you're asking is, we want to be able to back up the database without upgrading. The answer is yes, that's forthcoming. I can't remember when it's slated.
Next week. Just kidding, guys.
Disregard this man. Disregard this man. Actually, that's safe to say.
That's pretty, all the time, yeah, pretty much.
In fact, we really should. I'm kind of surprised you haven't been fired.
Well, JJ told me to wear the green, full body suit, so there's
so
not
that you
me
just
in the
blend
picture.
into the green screen.
Blend into the, but.
Oh, awesome. Do we have any more questions out there?
Not right now.
All right. Let's just quickly come over here, make sure we don't have anything that's worth. Obviously, there's always bug fixes, quite a few bug fixes that have been found. Yeah, we've added that. Oh, we did add to our built-in collections, the built-in Microsoft Office collections. We did add one for, one for Office 2016 and one for Office 365.
Yeah.
So
it was a little bit of effort to put that together, but.
Yeah. We did find a bug that we thought was worth calling out, and that was Windows 10 was not showing correct monitor display information. So we've updated that. And, let's see. License. Oh, another thing. For those of you enterprise customers who have you have enterprise, so you get the collection library, you can get the deployment history. But remember, there's another feature in enterprise, and that allows you to share, share your report. But there's scan caching. You can share reports. You can share collections with other users in your organization that are also enterprise licenses, and then scan caching. But the sharing and the scan caching only take effect if you have multiple enterprise licenses, because you can't
share with yourself.
Yeah, you can't share with yourself. So those of you who are enterprise but only have the one license. Now if you go down into, we have 10 licenses on this one, but if you go down into your sharing, if you only have the one, this stuff should be disabled because you only have one license. There's nothing to share. And same with in the scanning, the scan cache should be grayed out.
Grayed out, yeah.
If you don't have multiple. So the scan caching is there. It's a great feature. It's there so that you have a console. I have a console. We're in the same company. We have two enterprise.
No reason to double up the work by scanning each machine twice.
Yeah, we don't want to scan each machine twice. So, basically I'll look at what you've scanned recently and vice versa. Another really popular use case, we have customers that have, 20 licenses. They have one machine that is set up to do all the scanning, and all the other machines only read from the scan cache, and they don't actually scan those target machines. So a couple different use cases. But we wanted to clear that up because people were saying, oh, I can scan cache or I can share, but they only have the one license. At that point, there's really nothing to do.
Yeah.
So
you can't really share with yourself. It's yours.
We recently added in the collection library, by the way, you saw me talking about imaging. Check the, if you're not using the collection library, highly recommend it. We keep this thing, up to date.
Put a new package out, we update the collections,
If there's a corresponding collection for it. So we decided to add these three. That way you can easily see which computer has the latest, GIMP. Or has an old version, or it's not installed at all. So we've added the imaging, and keep on requesting your collections. If it's something that we can do, we'll do that. In utilities recently, we've added Dropbox, so that you can, once again, it's the same concept. You can see which machines have the latest one. There was a new Dropbox that was released today, version 3.10.11. We always show in the latest. We'll always show the version. The latest version. Now, if I were to open this up, you're going to see that is a variable. Lex, and this can be confusing. Where do you see values for this?
Well, first of all, if it's got a $sign in front of it, it's a system variable that we maintain here. You can't change it. But to find those, you're going to have to go to Preferences. Under Preferences, you go to Variables. Pretty good place to hide those, huh?
Yep, you can have your custom variables. So any custom variable will begin with an $sign.
And not an $sign, just an @.
I mean an at sign. Oh, see you later. And then the system. So you can see the system, they're grayed out, but you can see those corresponding values. And once again, that gets updated constantly by us. If you ever want to see what they are, just scroll on down here. When you go to your collection library, you will see the last time it was synced. Now you have to have a current enterprise license to do this. So if if your enterprise license expired last month, then your collection library is only as good as last month, which doesn't make it incredibly useful. But if you have a current license, you'll see the last time it synced. Now we sync every time PDQ Inventory the service starts or the console is opened. If you keep your console opened, we will automatically refresh every 2 hours.
Yeah.
But if you ever want, like you're waiting, you've got your console open, a new flash has come out or something, and you don't want to close and restart to refresh it, just click on manually sync, and you'll see that, go back and refresh that.
Another nice thing, you see that link to below it says see a video on the collection library. So we've got some places to go for other additional information there too.
Yep, absolutely. And if you ever want, you saw the remnants, if you ever want to modify any of these, you just simply have to drag it out. Let's say that you want to modify Dropbox a little bit. You can simply drag Dropbox out of the collection library. It still will stay in there, but now this Dropbox is editable. You can go and change any of the filters that you want. All right?
And it's a great place to look. It's a good template to build other collections for yourselves.
Yeah. People well, one of the most common questions is, I can see that Dropbox is installed, and I can see, here we're simply saying an application name starts with Dropbox or whatever that variable is, the vendor name, or the publisher in this case, the version. But how do I show computers that don't have it installed? Well, guess what? You have a cheat sheet. It's called the collection library. You can see this is how we show computers that don't have it installed, where we're saying the application, if you find an application that starts with Dropbox and has this vendor, but we notice we've got the not all to say, basically give us all those computers that have it, and then return only the computers that don't match that. That's a great way of finding that which computers don't have software, or don't have a service or whatever, is changing the the default all or any to not.
Yep. Negating it basically.
And then people will say, well, once again, here's Dropbox. It's not installed workstations. We've added an extra thing in there. Not all. Obviously, doesn't have Dropbox. And the OS name does not contain the word server. And that's how you can pull up the workstations.
Yeah.
So, cheat sheet, guys.
Yeah.
Drill down.
You got a question, JJ? Is there any thought being given? We're just going to stop right there. There's no thought being given to anything other than my next scotch.
We don't think. Will you pop that back up?
Is there any thought being given to using a more robust SQL database in the future? I'm wondering if there will be performance issues with SQLite with 1,000+ clients. Wayne O.
Hi, Wayne. We've gone back and forth. At this point, it's not planned. We have gone back and forth with that on saying let's, maybe offer either a new product or something in the enterprise offering to allow like SQL Server connections. The answer is we've thought about it. We've even started drawing it out a little bit. That does raise the complexity quite a bit. If we ever do this, which we may, it will be an optional feature because one of the cool things about Inventory and Deploy is you can just install it and get it running in minutes.
Bang, 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 it's done.
The second you introduce something like connecting to SQL Server or Oracle or something, that increases by several orders of magnitude in the complexity. So will we do that? Perhaps. Now, as far as the SQLite on the 1,000+ clients, we do have clients that have tens of thousands of computers in one database. I think it's kind of painful, but I've been in their environments. I've looked at it. They've got it streamlined quite well, and we haven't seen issues with SQLite. What we see are people that I've seen consoles that have one console had 21,000 computers in there. Some things that you have to do when you start getting a lot of computers.
You got to work on your performance settings, really, at that point.
Your performance settings. And one of the things to look at in the network is your auto heartbeat.
Yep. Now, how often can you send that?
By default, we ping every computer by default every 300 seconds or 5 minutes. When you're talking about thousands of computers in the database, that's not really reasonable. So you want to increase this heartbeat, this auto heartbeat interval to 600 seconds, 900, 1200, depending on how many computers you have. What does that mean? It means that, you could see computers, this determines the online status. So you could see a computer that if you change this to, instead of every 5 minutes, every 15 minutes, so every 900 seconds.
Possible machine will go offline or online in that period, and you wouldn't be able to tell at this point until your next update or your next heartbeat. So,
but by modifying that will really improve it. So it's not a SQLite issue as much as it is a performance.
Network traffic and processing at that point.
You're just saturating your network. Another thing that Lex mentioned on the performance, you might depending on the speed of your hard drive of your console machine, if it's a regular spinning hard drive versus
an SSD,
then you might need to make your concurrent scans go to 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
We've seen people that have jumped this up into the hundreds. Don't recommend that. You can really overwhelm your NIC. Actually, you can overwhelm your NIC on your console machine if you're saying allow 2,000 concurrent connections. You could rock that. All right, another question.
Last question.
Okay.
You want that one?
Yeah, sure. I've downloaded the new Inventory 7, but I have not deployed it yet because I work on a closed network that does not have an internet connection. Are there any issues I should be aware of? How will this affect my current license? All right, so if you're going to put this on a machine that does not have, by the way, thank you for asking that, Nathan. If you're going to put this on a machine that does not have a current internet connection.
There's a couple obvious things that are going to be there.
Yeah,
one is your collection library is not going to be current.
Yeah, your collection library is not going to be able to download the latest updates or sync up the latest updates to the collection library. Some things to be aware of. Number one, if you're talking about having multiple computers, so you have an enterprise license and you have a bunch of computers that want to share information, when you activate that, there's an enterprise activation. In preferences, in your license, you can enter your license code, but if you want to activate it, that requires an internet connection. Now there is when you try to activate it, there will be a manual button there. At that point, you would have to go through a couple of extra steps to activate a machine that's not connected to the internet. Other than that, as long as you're on a closed network, no internet access, you've already ruled out the collection library. But as long as you have access via file and printer sharing, which is what we use SMB. If you have access to the rest of your network using SMB, you're not going to see any other problems besides having to manually activate with multiple licenses and the collection library. Oh, obviously, also the auto update alerts. Yes, we're checking when this is enabled, you're checking our servers when you boot up or when you open the product to see if there's a new version. That won't work. So your auto update alerts, your collection library, you'll lose that functionality. But that is a fairly common use case, especially in larger environments where they don't allow certain machines to have access to the internet. So, well, all right. Hey, thanks for your questions, everybody. You'll probably be hearing from Annalisa. I think she's still bundled up like an Eskimo.
It's a little chilly out here.
Yeah, it's
temperature dropped out here in Salt Lake.
Yeah, it is. But then again, she's usually wearing a stocking cap in July. So
that is true. But I think that's just for the gangster effect.
If she pulls off the mittens and reaches out to you, if those of you ask questions, I guess you'll be getting some shot glasses or tumblers or something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, rock on. I'm Shane.
I'm Lex. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks so much for joining today, guys. If your question was featured, do email me at webcast@adminarsenal.com. That's webcast@adminarsenal.com. And there are a few of you who didn't have your questions featured. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but do hit up our support site, support.adminarsenal.com. We got great people that go through there and can help you out with your questions there. And we'll see you guys later.